Good morning. Welcome to Bass You Live. Having my largemouth blend angler's coffee. I hope you guys are too. Going to be a great show today. Good friend of Bass University. He's so young, but he's a longtime subscriber at Bass University. JH. JH sitting in for Riz this morning. Riz is on the road heading to the Classic. Just me and you today, brother.
Yeah, man. Just like we get one of these shows, just me and you, like once a year. So I always have fun when it's just JH and PG kicking it, man.
That's right, as it should be. Riz doing a great work for us. He's him and Jeff, the production team. Shout out to Jeff Olson, are making their way down to Texas. About halfway there by now, I imagine, and we're going to be catching up with them tomorrow. We're going to be down at the Classic. With Jocelyn will be with us as well. And Jocelyn's a little under the weather today, wishing her speedy recovery. Hopefully she feels good by the time we're ready to leave for the Classic. And we'll be down there. If you're a subscriber, make sure you come by the Bass University booth and check us out. Well, we've got with us today, man, Jay Przekurate. It's Classic week. And Jay's one of our Bass University you're one of our longtime subscribers or instructors, as young as you are, Jay, but you've been a great part of the BU family for really since you blasted onto the scene. And here you are at another Classic, man. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I've had a great time. A couple of the seminars I gave or the instructions I gave or whatever in your guys' deal was like the first time I actually gave like a for real seminar, I guess. So it was pretty neat that you guys were able to allow me to do that. But anyways, yeah, at the Classic here, this is my, gosh, what is it now? My third Classic. So I fished two, did well in two, and we're gonna try and do well in this one, but practice has been a little stingy for me so far, anyways.
Well, it seems the wind is the big story this week.
Yeah.
Everybody's talking about it.
Yeah, it's just a deal where it kind of reminds me of my first Classic, actually. As far as my practice went, I had a terrible practice in my first Classic. I caught, 2 to 3 keepers a day. Never really figured anything out and just kind of had to play the conditions for the tournament. Now, in that Classic, we didn't have the wind that we're going to have in this one, which I have no idea really what that's going to do. I'm not really familiar with Texas lakes and, kind of how the wind changes things in the pre-spawn, but I do know that these fish are itching to come up shallow. I mean, they're itching to come up there and, do their deal, but the water level is a little low this time around. So that kind of that plays in a big factor of why the fish probably aren't farther along than what they should be. I'm a big believer in like water level. If water level doesn't come up, the fish don't come up, kind of deal. It's different in certain parts of the country, but I feel like here it's probably one of the most predominant things. If that water doesn't come up, those fish kind of get shy to coming up to the bank to spawn.
Is the water level low because of the time of year, like they're holding it down seasonally, or is it drought?
Yeah, I wish I could tell you the answer to that. I really don't know. I didn't go back too much on research and figure out why it's so low. Probably, I would have to say it's probably from some sort of drought. I mean, even at the house, we haven't had hardly anything for snow or like precipitation, for really quite some time. I mean, we've had some snow, but it hasn't stuck around. Like, it'll melt maybe a couple days, and then next thing you know, we'll just have grass. And yeah, so I don't know what that's gonna do. I do know that these guys are gonna catch them. They always catch them. The one thing I can say is that whatever lives in the lake, these guys are gonna catch. And I know big bass live in Texas and they live in Ray Roberts, so these guys are gonna catch them. And you're gonna have to have, gosh, I don't know if I would have put a number on it. It's so much different than my first Classic. I keep going back to that one, trying to relate, because in that Classic, if you got 5 bites, you were going to do well. And here, if you get 5 bites, you can do well, but at the same time, they have to be the right size. So like for instance at Knoxville, like I got 5 bites and they were, 2 to 3 pound fish. Well, those are really good fish for Knoxville. And, if you got bit there, that's what it was going to be. Now, here, if you get 5 bites, they need to be 6, 7 pounders. Nah, I mean, I say that with how it is. I mean, not everybody's going to have 30 pounds, but if you do catch 30 pounds one day, you have a lot better odds to win the tournament than not.
Yeah, I saw one prediction that it was going to be 75 pounds to win this event.
Yeah, I think it'll be like upper 60s. I think like one day someone's gonna crack like a high 20s bag or like maybe 30, and then is gonna back it up with like 15, and then the third day he'll come in with like a high teens bag, maybe like 18 to 20 pounds, something like that.
I got you. Well,
Hmm.
tell us about the lake. Like I never have cast the line at Ray Roberts. Is it a timber lake? Does it have grass, docks? What's the lake going to look like for us?
Yeah, so no docks. As far as
What?
shoreline structure goes, very limited. With the low water, it's a very limited shoreline structure. There's a lot of rock in the lake. It's a very, I guess you could say there's pretty much like two things you could do. You could fish rock and you can fish wood. Other than that, there is some grass in the lake. I have found some grass in some certain pockets and stuff like that. But a lot of the grass I've seen is dead and it's not very tall. I feel like it's a lot of the grass that grew up, late in the summer and it's kind of still lingering around in a couple of the pockets around the lake. And obviously, the fish are going to use those pockets and stuff like that. And people will catch fish in that grass, but it's not the grass that I'm used to fishing. It's pretty dead, pretty sparse, and but for the most part, yeah, like the actual like techniques you can use on the lake right now is just limited in my opinion. I mean, there's obviously live scope is going to be a player. Timber is in the lake. Timber is present. The east arm of the lake has a lot more timber than the west arm. I think that's kind of just due to the way that the rivers flow into the lake and kind of how that works and when they flooded it or whatnot. I don't really know much about the history of it, but I do know that the East Arm is a complete timber field. I mean, you come into a pocket in the East Arm and you have to put down in the mouth, or there's a little trail you can run in, and then you have to put down and you have to idle all the way to the back. You have to weave through. It's kind of like a Lake Fork situation, really. You have to weave through a bunch of trees to get to the back and fish your way in there because and you're gonna hit stumps the whole way in with your boat because there's so many trees. But and then a guy can go to the west end. The west end is really not many trees at all. Um, Fish isolated stuff. I feel like that's gonna be a big thing here too, like isolated rock piles, whether it be an isolated brush pile. There's also some like isolated. I don't know what they even are, like old house foundations and stuff like that, kind of just like flooded out in the lake. It's a very featureless lake with not a lot of bass, but hopefully we come in with 5 bass.
Well, you have a tendency to do that, and you usually come in with good ones. So, but it's interesting. Okay, so it's like Lake Fork on the east side, and
Yeah.
the I imagine with the low water that makes it even more treacherous to navigate through that stuff.
Yeah.
Going to be a little runtime that you're going to have to burn up to. Is it a long idle to get
Yeah.
there? Is it like 15, 20, 30 minutes, or is it not that big?
The nice part about the lake is it's fairly small. I mean, each
Mm,
arm, main lake wise, is only like 5 miles. So like when you run into a pocket, you can kind of run in, and your idle time is pretty short. The only thing that's going to play a big factor is what areas get blown out. Um, with the winds we
mm,
have predicted, there's going to be a lot of areas that aren't going to be fishable in the tournament, which is going to make it a lot tougher because a lot of the areas that are good, and a lot of guys know this. I mean, if you're fishing on the north shore of a lake in the springtime, generally that's the better section of the lake to be in because when you get a hard north wind, it's protected. That's just kind of you know, a staple for me. I mean, any north bank on a fishery seems to be better than the south bank in the springtime due to, you know, having hard north winds come in. But with the winds we have predicted, you know, it looks like a lot of hard, like south, warm winds coming in, stuff like that. So we'll see. I mean, there's still areas you can kind of get into and get a little bit protected. There's some creeks that run like east to west where you can kind of get in and, you know, get away from the wind. But for the most part, it's going to be very limited on what guys can fish with that wind we have predicted.
Yeah, well, it's what is the prediction? Like I heard rumors this may be the first day ever canceled. You know, for a classic. Is it going to be that extreme? What are you seeing on the forecast?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to cancel the day one of the tournament. Day one's the only day we have predicted that it's going to be. I think they predict regular wind on my app says like 22 to 23, but it's not going to pick up until like noon and then gusts to like 40. But to be honest with you, down here, like that's almost like a regular forecast. I mean, I've been looking at the forecast every other day, and like even if they were to cancel Friday, we go out Saturday and it's still going to blow 15 to 20 with gusts up to 30. Like there's no in between of like, it's just kind of how it is down here in the springtime, I guess. They just get a lot of wind and you just kind of have to deal with it. There's really nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, well, that is a stout wind, man. That
Yeah.
20 mile an hour, you know, can sustained with gusts. I mean, that's
Yeah.
on the front deck of your boat.
Oh, yeah. I remember the first day of practice, I ran into a pocket and I found a little area that had some really warm water in it. And I stayed in there for a while, didn't catch anything. And I look out in the pocket that I came into, and it was like a complete 360. Like I've never seen. I had to idle my way back out of this pocket because it was full of timber. There was no boat lanes or anything to run out. So when I was coming out, you know, I had to keep the bow up because the waves were so big in this pocket. I was just taking them over the front, and I'm like, how is this even possible? Like this pocket is the size of I don't even know how to compare it. It's like 50 yards wide, and I'm just taking them over the bow. Like, what is going on right now? The wind is pretty crazy, so it's going to play a huge factor into everybody's game plan.
Well, it probably already has, right? Because like
Yeah.
you, areas are getting hammered by the wind that's happening now, and it's also
Yeah.
severely limited, like your practice plan, I would imagine, right? You like,
Oh yeah.
wind's hammering out of the north today. I guess I can't practice the Southern Lake, right? There's
Yeah.
is there areas that you haven't been able to get to because of the wind and look at?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, there's been areas, and again, I've only had 3 days to. This is my first time ever here, so I've kind of, I guess, narrowed it down to an area I want to fish based on the wind predictions. But for instance, like, yeah, there's been plenty of areas that I can't even get to. Um, with exception to the last day of practice, it was pretty calm, and I was able to start expanding a little bit, you know, on what was going on. But I don't know, man. In general, it's gonna be tough getting around. And I think if you just get in an area and get, gosh, 4 to 6 bites in an area, they're good fish. I mean, every bite I've gotten so far in practice has been 3+ pounds. And if you can just get in an area and just, gosh, if you can just get 5 of those bites, and bring them to the scales, you have a good tournament.
That's a solid plan. I mean, that sounds like it's going to be tough. I saw a lot of guys, you know, talking about, you know, the challenging nature
Yeah,
of the fishery, but you're good under those circumstances.
man. Yeah, I hope so.
you've been you've been really consistent over the years, and you know, in the few years that you've been doing it, you hardly ever stub your toe. So I like you. I might have to change my pick, Justin, for you know, I the minute we like you were texting with Justin and you're like expressing, you know, tough conditions on the lake, and I'm like, yeah, I'm switching my pick to Jay.
I don't know about that, but
Well, it's the tournament's going to come, and it's now your third classic. Um, what this tournament's different from any other tournament. Like, have you learned how to deal with all the distraction and all the stuff that's going on down there?
Yeah, I feel like it's it's definitely different. I mean, the practice period to me is like, I don't want to say it's useless because it's not useless, but you almost don't want to catch them in practice, if that makes any sense. Like, you don't want to, like, you don't even want to catch a big one. Like, you want to save everything for Friday, because we started practice last Friday, and like nothing you found last Friday is probably going to be, it might be, relevant here. This lake is a little bit different, but in general though, I mean, I like I guess the mystery of going out on Friday, and like all of a sudden you're like, holy cow, like, this is actually what's going down on the lake, and this is what I missed the entire week when I was sitting in the hotel or at registration or at media day. These fish were all moving into this pocket or whatever is going to happen. But yeah, I love the mystery of the classic. That's probably my favorite part. And I love just being able to fish free. No points on the line. I was telling my roommate Alex the other day, I was like, um, if this was a points tournament, I would not, I would be a lot more, I guess, tense than I am right now.
Right.
I mean, yeah, just trying to get 5 bites here and trying to fish for points is a lot more frustrating than just going out there fishing free, trying to catch 8 pounders. I mean, if I happen to live scope a 8 pound catfish instead of an 8 pound bass, I'm not going to be quite as mad as I would be if I were in an Elite Series tournament, because I'll just keep going and try and get the next one, and hopefully it is a pass. But yeah, the classic's cool. I love the mystery of it. That's my favorite part.
That is a cool way to phrase it. So I'm listening to you. You're are you going to check out new water? You identified? Do you fish that free? Like, okay, well, I haven't looked in this area yet. I'm going to check it out on Friday.
I don't know if that will be maybe my plan. I will revisit some areas
Mm-hmm.
that I caught some fish. Hopefully we get to go out on Wednesday, because we do have that 8 hour day on Wednesday to finish up our practice. So I will revisit some areas and just see kind of like what's changed, if the water's dirtied up any, if the water temperature has come up any. Look around, see kind of what changed there. But as far as like completely starting in a new area, it's possible. I mean, with the wind forecasted, I have an idea, just looking at maps, looking at my Garmin stuff, seeing, if I go into a pocket and be like, man, I feel like they're going to come into this pocket because I saw some grass in there. It just feels right. That's the best part of the classic. I mean, you just go in there and you fish free, and you fish a completely new area, because, the fish are going to show up one day and not be there. They weren't there last Friday, so maybe they're there a week after that. That's a long time.
I get it, Justin. I think this is what makes Jay so successful, because you're in the classic and you're just like, fishing free. The fish aren't biting that good, and he always seems to be cool under pressure.
Yeah, I mean, no points on the line, so you can kind of just go swinging. I feel like that's seeing guys' stuff on social media. It seems like there's some guys that are gonna keep a big swim bait in their hand and try and get 5 big bites.
Mm-hmm.
Or I don't know what you think, Jay, but is it gonna be one side doing the minnow slinging and then the other side doing a big swim bait deal?
Uh, I personally don't think you're gonna see much for the minnow in this tournament.
Really?
Um, I don't really think that's gonna be a huge player. I could be completely wrong on that.
Yeah.
I'm just based on my
Yeah.
practice and based on what I saw. Um, this isn't the Lake Fork of Texas. Let's just put it that way.
Right. Right.
It's a completely different animal. You're gonna see, I feel like, a lot of more old school stuff come into play. In my opinion, I think you're gonna see some guys doing some dragging. stuff on the bottom. These fish like to be on the bottom here. I'm not really sure why, but you're going to see some dragon stuff come into play, some old school, your Carolina rigs, your jigs, stuff like that. You're going to see some fish caught shallow. You're going to see some fish caught out of the timber. You're going to see some fish caught off some bridges, crankbaits. The thing about this lake is there's not a lot of shoreline structure to fish. So,
Right.
yes, you're going to have to utilize your forward-facing sonar a decent amount. But at the same time, man, is there the junk fish in this lake? I have never seen so many junk fish in my life. I mean, whether it's gar, I believe it's buffalo carp, drum. I mean, I've caught it all. I've specifically live scoped a catfish that I was almost 110% sure it was a bass, and it was a catfish. So I've
Oh,
tried pretty hard to make that work, and it hasn't really worked out for me.
Hmm.
interesting. That's fascinating. I would have never guessed it. No, I mean, having no knowledge of the lake or the
Yeah.
conditions, thought for sure we were slinging minnows in this tournament. But and like you said, it's probably somebody's going to figure that out. But it's interesting that conventional,
Yeah, you never know, right?
yeah, conventional techniques are going to play a big role. That'll be fun for a classic. And
Yeah.
what about temperatures? Is there any spawn? Is there a potential for spawning fish?
I haven't personally seen any spawning activity. I did actually catch a fish that I believe was maybe trying to come up and spawn, but it was just a small male. Um, Again, I just think with the water level and the conditions we have, um, whether it's the wind or the cold nights we're supposed to get like right before the tournament. I mean, it's supposed to be in the 30s, like I think it was like 2 nights in a row or at least one of the nights. I just feel like those fish, that super shallow water that they want to get to, I feel like cools down so fast with those colder nights, and I just don't think we're gonna see um, too much for spawning activity actually play this time around. I do think a couple guys will catch some fish, up there doing the thing, but overall, I don't think it's gonna be much of a player.
Interesting, interesting. Well, it's going to be a tough classic. Like I said, I like you in that particular situation. So it should be a fun classic for you. I love how you're able to stay cool. And I know it's easy to say, oh, no points, you can go for broke. But it's easy to say that. But the pressures of the classic can really get into a lot of heads. It got into my head more than once, where all that pomp and circumstance, it makes you made me make some bad decisions.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's one of your assets. You remind me a lot of Jordan Lee that way, where unflappable, in tough conditions for most of us, So that's a real asset for you, my friend. And I think that
Yeah, I really hope I don't zero. That's my only. I, I really hope I come into the stage with at least one bass to put on the scales. Otherwise, I have to come up with my zero bass speech at the classic. I don't want to do that.
You'll be all right.
I remember doing that too. Like I think it was Logan Martin, where I I wanted to. It was my first classic, and I wanted to come across the scales with a limited fish. So I forgot about winning for about half of the day, so I could go get a small limit to
Yeah,
bring across that scale, and that was a colossal mistake as a competitor.
true.
You know,
Yeah,
I mean,
that
I
is
gave
true.
up my chance to win by doing that in my
All
mind.
right.
You know,
Yeah, yeah,
so
that is part of it too.
yeah, but it's going to be a good one for you. So you were hanging out at Zaldane's, man. Would you guys have a crawfish boil? What?
Yeah, they put together last night. They had a little get together. It was actually to benefit. It was kind of like a St. Jude's fundraiser as well. They sold tickets for the crawfish boil, and everybody got together there last night. All the classic contenders were welcome to come, and then they gave out, or they sold tickets for the St. Jude's. and all that. So it was a cool deal. We had crawfish. I'm not a huge crawfish either, but it's nice to have every once in a while. It's pretty neat. We don't really get any crawfish up in Wisconsin, or any of the boils, I guess you could say. That was I think it was my second time ever having crawfish. Um, yeah, I think it was my second time. I'm still trying to learn like the how to actually like get the meat out, you know. It's kind of tough. Like
Yeah,
I feel like I'm getting the hang of it now, but it's very tedious, let's put it that way.
Yeah, you got to be one with the bass, Jay. That's what I say when I
Yeah,
eat crawfish.
the one with the crawfish.
Yeah,
I'm glad. Chris had the boil like
Yeah,
last
that was cool. Hmm.
before, especially before the Bash University crew got there, because after our crew started tearing into the crawfish, there will be none left.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
between Justin and Riz, man, they can wipe out an entire population of
Oh
crawfish
heck
in
yeah.
class, I think.
Nice.
But
we'll be getting some for sure.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
what all right. So who's the biggest liar and sandbagger at the Zaldane at last?
Oh gosh. Biggest liar and sandbagger.
I know
I
how.
don't know. I feel like a lot of guys were, in my opinion, I felt like a lot of them were pretty honest. I don't, a lot, like some guys would, they tell you if they got like 7 or 8 bites. It wasn't like a deal where they were like, oh, you know, like they tell you like, yeah, I got 7 or 8 bites. Or some guys would be like, dude, I've caught like 2 a day. Like it's miserable. Like I don't know what I'm doing, blah, blah, blah. So I don't really have a big, I can't put my finger on a sandbagger for this one. Usually I can kind of tell like who's kind of slinking around, you know, but um I will say I feel like the Texas guys are going to do really well in this event.
Yeah.
It's a man, it almost reminds me of a couple places at home where you know, if you don't fish there on a regular, and you don't know, I guess you could say, the spots, and I don't know the spots. This is my first time ever here. You know, the first day was so windy you could hardly get around. um Man, if you don't know the spots, the spot on the spot, um it is hard to catch a bass here. I mean, it's very specific. It's hard to, you can't really just go fishing. Some places you can just go fishing and do well, run a pattern, stuff like that. Here, man, it's really hard to just go fishing, in my opinion.
Wow. Well, that's interesting. That'll challenge the crew, and
Yeah.
we're gonna see how it all plays out here. And I like your strategy. I like your your open mindedness. That, like I said, that's gonna go a long way. Well, you've demonstrated that a lot over the years, and you're off to a terror this year, man. You tour into Florida, and man,
Yeah, that was
you're having
good.
a great start to the season, my friend.
I kind of surprised myself on that one a little bit. St. John's was kind of like I don't want to say it was like a place I dreaded going to, but it wasn't a place I was like excited to go to, let's put it that way. Um, and man, I just did what I love to do. I love to fish for spawning fish. And I had that mindset going into that tournament where I was just like, I'm just going to fish for bass that want to be spawning. And, you know, I put all my eggs in that basket. Even with, you know, some of the weather we had, the colder nights, stuff like that, I was like, I'm strictly doing this, and trying to figure that out. And I feel like in Florida, if you can figure that out, you have a chance to win the tournament, and that's ultimately what happened.
It was all, and it's amazing because you were fishing in an area that receives a lot of attention. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was probably the craziest part. That I actually did catch him out of there day one. Seeing that there was a tournament won there the previous year. Um, but no, it was a pretty specific deal. I mean, I caught those fish the first day, but I wasn't. I knew I wasn't going to back that up the second day in there, so I really had to kind of expand on that whole deal. But yeah, that first day was special.
you came out firing. And were you like looking at them mostly, or were you scoping them off the beds? What was your
Yeah, I was strictly sight fishing. Looking at them visually,
Mhm.
that was my main deal. Um, I kind of, I wouldn't say I figured it out in practice, but I had some fish to go to, and I didn't know how big they were. I did know how I knew how big a couple of them were. And I wasn't expecting to catch what I caught, not at all. I was expecting to come out of there with, in perfect conditions with what I saw. I was hoping to catch like 15 pounds, which on the St. John's is a really good bag that time of year. And that's what I was expecting to catch. But lo and behold, some things happened overnight in that area, and a couple of those big females decided to show up on a couple of those places, and that's all it takes there. I mean, I had two absolute giants. I mean, I had a eight, whatever it was, 8.4, and then a seven something. And my other three fish, they weren't big fish, but they were just quality fish, 2 3/4, 3 pounder, and like a high three. Just nice cookie cutter filler fish. But having those two giants is just what separates you exclusively in that tournament. I mean, that's all it
Florida
takes.
special. Florida special, two giant kickers and
Yeah.
filling out the bag with the rest. Did you honestly, like, coming into the weigh-in that last day, did you think you had any chance at all to win?
No, not at all. I remember I got in, and legally we can pull up the bass track, look at that, and I remember looking at the top of the bass track, and I was like, this can't, or this must not have refreshed, or whatever, from earlier in the day, or I don't know, whatever, from yesterday when I was looking at it, whatever. And I was like, refresh, refresh, refresh. And I was looking at it, and I'm like, this can't be real. I'm like, and whatever, we got into the bag line, and I seen Bill only had four, and obviously it didn't look like much. And I was like, man, I think I might have just won this tournament. I was like, with what I had in my bag, I really did think, for a second, I'm like, if I end up beating Shane, which I did, um, which was a crazy deal to begin with. I mean, 1 ounce is ridiculous, and
Yeah,
it could have went it could have went either way for the both of us. If Shane would have won, I would have been super happy for him. If Bill would have won, obviously I'm super happy for him. Um, but yeah, anyway, it would have shaken out. I mean, you can't really complain about that situation because everybody had the opportunity to win, in my
yeah,
opinion. Like, Bill was obviously the lead runner. Shane could have easily won. I mean, he weighed in like a 2 pounder. If he would have, I'm sure he had many of moments on the water where if he would have caught a 2 3/4, he would have won the tournament. If I would have caught if I would have stayed in the canals I was fishing instead of going back to the springs that final day, and just upgraded by like 4 ounces on and caught like a 3.5, I would have won the tournament.
yeah.
Or if John doesn't break off that one fish that he broke off the final day, he would have won the tournament. Like, it was just, in my opinion, it was meant for Bill to win that tournament. So many things happened, for a reason, in my opinion.
It was crazy to watch that go down because like watching Bill fish and really all you guys like you're all thinking because you can't look at what the other guys have, but you're all thinking like
Yeah.
this thing away.
I know.
And
And
Yeah.
everybody
yeah,
was one call away from winning, essentially.
yeah,
Yep. Crazy.
that's a big lesson, right, man? You
It
gotta
is.
keep your head in that game because you never know.
Yep. You never know. Exactly.
That last cast, it's a classic Rick Clun line that you got to be careful of.
Yeah.
Be fearful of the guys that compete
Mm-hmm.
hard in the last hour as they do in the first hour. And man, in a tough tournament, that you got to have, and that's what you got to have this week at the Classic for sure.
Yeah, a lot of good things are gonna have to happen this week for whoever wins this tournament. Basically every single good thing is gonna have to happen to them this week if they're gonna win.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like it's also setting up to be a Florida style event where you're going to have a chance for some big ones that,
Yeah, there's
you
some
know,
big fish. It's like,
you think you in your head, you might be suffering with hours without bites, but
hmm
at any
yeah,
time
and then all of a sudden, yeah,
you could get a couple big ones there.
yeah, Yeah, I mean, I think you're gonna see a lot of like 3 fish for, you know, I mean, in the range from 9 to 20 pounds. You know what I mean? I mean,
Mhm.
there's some big fish in here.
Nice. Well, that'll be cool. And there was big fish at Okeechobee. Man,
Yeah.
you had a solid finish down there.
Yeah, that was a really interesting tournament. I really wasn't on much at all in practice. Um, and one of my traveling partners, Wesley Gore, actually was fishing in a canal, and he started figuring a couple things out, just how to get bit. And he kind of called me in over there, and then I started to get bit over there, so I kind of joined him in on that. And ultimately caught what I caught the first day doing that. I was doing a mixture of just like punching and also catching some fry garters and some canals. Nothing crazy. I mean, just some small keepers, and then every once in a while, get that kicker bite punching. But the final day, I ended up going out into the lake just because that whole canal bite just completely petered out. I'm not really sure what happened there, but went out to the lake and just glued a frog in my hand because I'm just like, screw it. I'm just gonna go out, have fun, glue this frog in my hand, get my push pull out, pull up my trolling motor, and that's what I did. And I had a decent day. I caught like a 5 something, a 4, and then 3 other nice fish. I did find 2 big fish on the bed that day that just wouldn't. It was the craziest thing. I've never seen fish spawn as shallow as I did on Okeechobee. I had like a 6 and a 7 pounder within casting range of each other, right in front of my boat, um, locked up with males, but they would never like actually stay on the bed. And when they would get on the bed, it was so shallow that their entire tail would be out of the water when they were rolling on the males. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen. And I would pitch in on those fish, and they would take off because it was so shallow and they were so spooky. But that was a pretty neat deal.
That is crazy. I know
Yeah, it was wild.
the water level fluctuations a big story down there, and it's I guess because of the lack of vegetation, maybe in
Yeah.
slightly deeper water, it was driving those fish to spawn in a
Yeah.
little water.
The the area I was in, it was like one of the only clean sections
Mm-hmm.
in that area. So like the super shallow stuff I was in was, I mean, it was really clear. You could see, gosh, I don't know. It was probably like 5 foot of visibility, if there was that much water there. And on top of that, those fish were, it was the weirdest thing I saw too. They were feeding on tilapia fry. I've never seen that in my life either. So there's so many tilapia in Okeechobee that, obviously the tilapia spawn and they have babies. And there's like little tilapia fry that swim around, and those fish were feeding on tilapia fry. And I've never seen so many big fish feeding at one time. I mean, it was just like a massacre was going on in this pocket, and I could not catch these bass to save my life. I caught 2 of them, and 2 of them came on the frog, but I threw my entire boat at these fish. I mean, there wasn't a bait I didn't try to catch these fish, and they were all in like this much water, and I just couldn't get them to go. But man, that place it's full of a lot of big bass, but they're just really hard to catch.
Yeah, it was an interesting tournament. Shout out to Brandon Polnick for
Yeah.
what an amazing deal that was. Did you get to go back and look at any of that footage? How those guys
Oh man.
they were fishing right on
Yeah.
each other. That's
That
crazy.
was that was the most unique deal
Mm-hmm.
that I've ever seen. I wouldn't think, you don't think of that stuff like, oh, a rock pile or whatever, in the middle of the river up by a dam in Florida. You're just like,
Yeah.
I didn't even have a crankbait that dove over 6 foot in my boat. You know what I mean? Like,
That's
Wow.
nuts. Yep, they were, and then he had some epic glide bait, or at least
yeah,
one glide
gosh,
fish catch that was
yeah,
just amazing.
yeah. I just can't even fathom.
Yeah, yeah, that's crazy. And then GDP, Greg DePaul,
Yeah,
yeah, he led day one. Shout out to him for a great event. But you're off to a great start, man. You're sitting 7th in the AOY, and you got the Classic coming up. It's exciting times. Things are going your way as they normally do. But I want to dive in real quick because I want to let you go here soon. I know there's a lot of Classic activity And I appreciate. Thanks for being with us, taking a little time to hang out
Yeah.
with us.
Yeah, for sure.
But there's been a few rule changes. One that are in particular that I wanted to ask you about, because you've won 2 co-angler tournaments, and that's kind of how you got started. And the co-anglers have been eliminated from the opens. What are your thoughts on that? How are you feeling about that rule?
Yeah, I mean, at first when I saw it, it's probably because obviously I'm not fishing the opens anymore. Um, I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. But the more I think about it and the more I kind of look back on it, it really kind of bums me out. I mean, because, without that, I'm not sitting right here talking to you guys without those 2 co-angler wins. But there's also other routes now. There's a lot of other options that I'm not saying there's a lot of options, but the Bass Nation is a pretty cool deal. Like I if I weren't able to fish the opens as a co-angler, like I would be fishing all the Bass Nations as a co-angler. It's a lot more affordable. There's probably places that are closer to the house for me to fish, stuff like that. But overall, yeah, with the opens not having co-anglers, it's definitely, God, I don't know. I mean, it sucks. I'm not gonna lie. Because I have some people at home, that they just want to learn. I mean, they don't really care to, if you do well, you do well. But
Mm-hmm.
if you get paired up, like for instance, when I was coming up, I mean, I got paired up with guys like Brandon Cobb, Patrick Walters, Austin Felix, like those opportunities and like the learning experiences I had in that 8-hour day was, I mean, you can't put that into a book. You can't, sit down and tell somebody about that. I mean, it's just that experience you have of like an actual like day where that guy is fishing for 50 to 100 grand and he's doing everything in his power to do good in that tournament. I mean, you can't. Yeah, that's the real deal.
Yeah, I can see the emotion in you, because it was an important part of
Yeah.
your growing up.
I
Did
will say too, with like everybody's talking about live scope, it's pushing away all the co-anglers, not, they're not
yeah.
getting the this and that. I I still go with the same saying. If you're signing up as a co-angler, you're just there to learn. I mean, you're not really there to try and win the tournament. I mean, yeah, obviously I did well. I ended up winning 2 tournaments, but so many things have to go right as a co-angler for that to actually happen.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, my whole deal with the whole co-angler thing was just to go there, strictly learn, a couple bodies of water that I've never been to at different parts of the country. And then the next year, try and fish as a boater and do it on my own. So, if anybody is going to sign up as a co-angler and they're all bummed out because they took 150th place and didn't catch a fish because their guy was live scoping all day, that's probably not what you should be doing. You should be trying to figure out how your boater did catch him that day, so you can learn and ultimately jump up to the front of the boat and do well, because he did well that day, and learn from that.
Yeah, that's sound advice. And we'll there's still, and it's interesting you bring it up, like the federation. This move may drive the participation in the federation.
Yeah.
That's a perspective I didn't consider before.
Yeah, I
That
have a lot of buddies now that are fishing, and just people, from home that are fishing the Bass Nation, all those regionals, trying to
Mhm.
qualify for the championship. I feel like if I wasn't, fishing the elites or doing anything, like I would be strictly fishing that nation deal, because that is the best chance you have of, getting to the elites or getting to the classic, and the amount of money you have to spend is not near as much as trying to fish the opens or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's interesting. That's sound stuff. And one of the other things, like Justin, we had the co-angler of the year the last time the opens. Well,
Yeah,
before
Nico.
before they changed the format, and
Yep.
I was amazed, Jay, at how rarely he got caught in a scoping boat.
Really?
It was really fascinating, and how he figured out strategies to catch them when
Yeah.
he was with a guy that scoped. And he, one of the things still sticks out to me, Justin. I'm interested in what you remember, but the frog,
Mm-hmm.
the hollow-bellied frog, was a major factor in him, excelling, even bank fishing and fishing behind guys. That really stood out to me, Justin. What stood out to you?
Yeah, the frog, and he kept it simple, man. It was the frog and a drop shot and a shaky head, I think, were like his three key baits. But yeah, it's like what Jay said. I mean, to be a successful co-angler, you have to have so many things go your way.
Yeah.
There's so many things that are out of your control.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, there's only a handful of lakes where if a guy's scoping, you probably can't catch him out of the back of the boat. And like Champlain, when they're in 60-foot of water, suspended in 20, not on bait, they're just floaters. That's going to be hard to do, but there's not that many lakes that are on the schedule like that are like that. You got, like the Toyotas, we had besides Champlain, the Potomac and the St. Lawrence. I mean, if your guy's scoping there, you're going to still catch him behind the boat doing whatever you want to do. And even on Champlain, if you're in shallower water, you can catch them behind somebody scoping easily. So, yeah, it's a learning experience. I agree with you there, Jay.
Well, you still have the Nation is a great opportunity, and I know the Toyota Series still offers opportunities for a co-angler. So guys, get out and do that stuff. But yeah, that's great insight, Jay. Man, I'm glad I asked you that question. I knew you probably had a good on it because it was part of your development as a pro. And speaking of which, let's continue developing you as a pro. I want to see the big trophy when you get it this week. I hope you come and visit with us.
I hope so, man. I mean, you never know. There's only 56 guys here, so I like the percentage of chances of winning. So it's better than 100.
Yeah. Why not you? Why not?
Exactly.
Heck yeah. Well, good luck. We'll be rooting for you and watching. And thanks again for making some time with us. And go kick some butt, man. Good luck.
All right. Thanks for having me, guys.
You bet. Jay Secured, everybody, as I'm losing my voice. Justin, right in time. But I love Jay, man. He's such a good guy. And he really is an excellent teacher. And surprising for such a young angler how he's able to convey those messages. And I want to invite all you guys to go check out Jay Securat's instruction at Bass University because he's been on the cutting edge of doing the slinging a minnow and a variety of very, very consistent techniques that are winning tournaments right now. And that's all over at Bass U TV. So go check it out. No
doubt. And a good co-angler seminar too for any co-anglers out there.
That's absolutely right. And I'm glad you reminded me of that, Justin. We went out of our way to work with him on that project because there's so many people that love to fish that way. And he said, me too. I haven't been fishing the Nation, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do with Jake. Jake fishes the Nation high school division.
Yep. And
he turned 16 this summer, so we can participate. He can participate as a co in the Nation tournaments, and maybe that's a father and son project for us.
Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah, hey, it's a way for you to get back in that classic,
Yeah, well, I didn't even think about that, but heck yeah. Why not? Why not us? Why not us? All right, well, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we're going to be right back. And we have a subscriber of the week and some other cool stuff. We'll be right back after this.
We're off the clock to clock more fish, to fill our live wells and empty our coolers, because there's more to explore. The latest Humminbird fish finders work fast, see clearly, and know all the best spots. They fish even smarter paired with the Minn Kota and break down the water like never before. If you like your plans loose and lines tight, then it's time to explore. Only with Humminbird. Get right to the fight. New Mega Live 2 forward-facing sonar puts you on more fish with an ultra-clear, rock-solid picture of underwater action. Next-gen clarity, next-level fun. Only with Humminbird.
Right here, AquaView, mandatory equipment in my boat. I say it all the time. The smallmouths hide in the cracks in the rocks, and just saw a little bit of the same kind of rock with the cracks in it. And I realized that I had to put a bait down there. You wouldn't, idle over them and see them on your screen. You had to put a bait down there and suck them out of the rock. So, AquaView, big assist on this one.
And outdoors Bassmaster Classic champion, Jeff.
Coffee. The angler's ritual. A reason to leave your cozy covers, even if you aren't headed to the river. We started Angler's Coffee because, well, we love to fish, we love coffee, and we care. Think of it as the rise before the rise.
All a challenge. The original Element rods were really Cash's first launch, kind of in a price point level. With that, we got a lot of feedback.
And that's what brought about the Element Z2 in its launch. The most affordable American-made rod on the market.
Mother Nature may be tough. I'm tougher. I'll take you where chaos is the cost of entry and where the fish are worth the fight. Because the bigger the question marks, the better the quest.
I love that new Explorer. We were just looking at Minn Kota's great contest. Do they have to go over to the website to enter that contest?
No, you can enter on Minn Kota Hummingbird's social media. I think you just have to tag 2 friends and follow both accounts, and you can get in there and win some pretty cool stuff.
Man, they're giving away a 12-inch Explorer, Ultrex, and a bunch of other stuff, guys. So go check that stuff out. You're going to love the new Mega Live 2. It just really is exceptional sonar that Humminbird has brought to us this year. So go check that out. And
I love my Minn Kota Quest, Pete. I'll tell you. I put that Quest on go this past weekend.
That's right.
Love that thing.
Yeah, that's relatively new on your boat, so it's
I mean, I put it on November last year, maybe, but shoot, I've really only got one or probably 4 trips in it before stuff started icing over here.
Yeah,
go figure. The year I get a boat, the bay ice is over, and it hasn't in the past 3 years. But yeah, been putting time in on the Quest, man. I love that thing.
Quest is amazing. And I want to give a shout out to Dave Godspeed and Dan LaBelle and Dom Rose and Sam Axe, Nicholas Mayberry. Good to have you guys hanging out with us. I like some of the picks. A lot of guys picking. Don's picking Livesey and Milliken, and he still froze up in Maine. I guess there's still a lot of ice in existence up there in the north, but it won't be long. I mean, this warm spring's here, man. It's we get home from the Classic, it's going to be April, and it's on.
It's on for sure, man. We got a lot of tournaments coming up here in our neck of the woods as soon as we get back home from the Classic, so should be fun.
I know. Got to give Riz props. He busted a 7.2?
Yeah.
Just recently on the Chesapeake. A lot is overstating it, but guys are catching 7 and 8 pounders and big ones. Our favorite body of water this time of year, which is awesome. Water temperature in the 40s, and the fish are moving around and starting to get going. I'm looking forward to coming back and doing a little fishing myself. I am actually going to take a break and fish Cato Lake down in Texas one day after the Classic. Shout out to Mike Reed, Alabama Mike Reed.
Nice.
Him and I are going to hook up and do a little fishing. He's been teasing it Justin, showing me some video and some images of fish he's catching up there. And
Are they spawning there or what?
doesn't appear to be. Well, they could be. It could be. He's using all conventional techniques, man, like top water stuff and flipping.
All you need is a Senko. Come on.
But I'm seeing him, 4 to 8 pounds coming in his boat right now.
Oh man.
So
Good. Get some good picks for me. Send them my way while I'm on a plane or whatever I'll be doing.
I will be our subscriber of the week after
Right.
that fishing trip.
Speaking of that, subscriber of the week this week, we're just gonna give a shout out to Kev and Jared, both rocking the Bass U hats. Sent me this picture over the weekend. Quick double up. So shout out to them boys. Shout out to the Bass Tech Sonar. Yep, sub of the week this week, Jared and Kev.
Yeah, we got to do something about this Jared kid. I mean, we're gonna have to ground him. He's not permitted to fish every day. That's not, that's upsetting, Justin.
Yeah, yeah, it makes me angry at times.
I think
I
he's
got no idea.
20 or 30 days in a row now.
Oh, I don't know what he's at now. I don't know if he ended up fishing on Monday. He told me he was going to go to the Chesapeake, but I don't think he did. So I think he might have broken his streak at 18. But who knows? He could have went somewhere else,
Yeah, well, that's awesome. My son Jake is we're coming out of wrestling season, so I'm trying to get him fishing every day. So he's pond hopping, and that's by the way, great way to learn techniques, guys, is go to your local ponds and in your neighborhood communities or at your parks. You can learn. You don't have to do a big fishing trip every time to learn a new technique. You can go to a pond, like right now I'm having Jake work on jerk baits and lipless baits because I think that's going to be a factor for him. And just take those tools and spend a few hours with the technique you want to study. Ponds are awesome because you get great feedback, you catch a few fish, and you can really develop a technique without getting distracted by the boat and everything else that you.
That's a great tip, Pete. Growing up, I learned more on I had a pond in Delaware that you could catch, 52 pounders all day long. But I gained confidence in techniques that I had never caught fish on going there, and it gave me confidence going forward on, stuff like a jerk bait and a blade bait and stuff like that. Stuff I wasn't too confident because those fish there will bite anything. So find you a pond that the fish will bite anything and start throwing stuff that you don't catch fish on, and you'll gain confidence and stuff. Easier said than done, but
yeah, it's a real deal, man. Like getting bites is getting bites.
Oh yeah.
The more bites you get, the more dialed in you become at a variety of techniques. And it's interesting. It looks like this classic might use a variety of techniques.
What bait you think what's gonna be the winning lure, Pete? I got 3 in my mind, but I'll try and bring it down to 1 by the time you're done your answer.
It's something that really that I didn't expect him to say was a Carolina rig. And when we were interviewing Jay, I'm about that as an option. And you know who I picked in my pool? One of my buckets is Tyler Williams, and
jig.
And that jig, that football head jig that he throws on the isolated habitat. As I'm listening to the words coming out of Jay's mouth, I'm feeling better and better about my pick with Tyler Williams. That's that isolated cover, throwing fish on the bottom on hard habitat.
Yep.
He really excels at that. So I'm liking my technique. I'm liking my pick, and you're not allowed to change your pick to join.
You're going Tyler Williams with the jig. I'm honestly, after what Jay says, I feel like John Garrett excels in those crankbait Carolina rig situations. So he might not be a bad pick, but
the only
I don't know, man. I think a jerkbait might end up being the winner again, or a big swim bait. I would love to see somebody pull it out on a big glide or something. That'd be so cool to watch. But that's such a hard technique to win a 4-day tournament. This is a 3-day tournament, so maybe not. But I feel like in the past we've seen a big swim bait bite. There's too many losses that can happen, and it ultimately guys don't win strictly throwing that. But who knows?
Well, John Garrett is a great pick, and he is red hot, and he's leading the AOY. But how do you pick over Lee Livesey in this?
Yeah,
I guess you can. They're both amazing picks, and but we'll check out our fantasy fishing results after the Classic. And Jay, you got what do you ahead of me by 6 points right now in our own?
Oh, I think it's more than that, Pete. I can check though while I have it up. I was just looking at my picks. Oh yeah, it's way more than 6 points. It's
What?
40, 50. So let's see. Oh no, you're right. It is about 6 points. I was looking at the Okeechobee tournament. I beat you by like 80. But yeah, you got one. Yeah, 6 points.
So it's a barn burner in our private battle.
Sure,
but
sure is.
Our public battle, we are not even in the conversation.
No, we definitely are right now. Let's see who's Iowa Husker 28 and General Lynn are the top two, man. They are.
I'm seeing a Jay Olson.
I saw that too. Is that Jeff Olson on the cover?
Is that the Iowa? Is he the Iowa Husker? Is he?
Oh man, he might be the way he switches his favorite teams around. You know,
our own Jeff Olson. I don't think that's him. He's supposed to.
Jeff Olson is catching Z's right now in Rich's passenger seat. Got an update a few minutes ago. So
excellent.
Sleep tight, Jeff. You got a lot of work ahead of you, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Those boys will be down in Fort Worth, Texas here shortly. We're going to be following right behind them. Right now, it's the Bass Classic Special going on over at Bass University. It's the best opportunity of the year to get yourself signed up. So get over there and get signed up at bassu.tv. And we're releasing Lee Livesey this week, which is called Attack Texas, where he breaks down a lot of the Great Lakes in Texas and how to fish them. So it applies to all the reservoirs all over the South, but in particular, if you're doing any fishing in Texas, it's going to be a must watch seminar.
No doubt about that. That's a good one with Lee.
Yes, sir. And all that being said, I want to shout out to Jocelyn. Hope she feels better and gets back on her feet. So I know she's not feeling her best this week. All of our other boys are traveling, and we're going to be right behind them. We look forward to seeing you at the Classic. Make sure you come by and see us. Without Jocelyn here, I can't tell you what booth number we are.
I can tell you real quick. Okay. I think it's 1417. I could be wrong though. Let's see. 4017, booth 4017. Come see us at the Bassmaster Classic. We got some cool stuff going on over there, man. Hope to see everybody there. Yeah. Oh, if you haven't checked out Cashin's new Element Z2 rod, should really check that out. We played that commercial for that today, but they just released, and it's like what, $130 rod. Made in the USA, Pete. It's pretty neat rod. And if you're a Bass University member, head over to those member benefits. That's where all the goods are over there, and you'll save yourself a few more bucks. Heck yeah, go check that out. For the price point, it's an exceptional rod. If you're a guy looking to, get into a variety of rods for a variety of techniques, it is an amazing opportunity to get a lot of rod for a little. So go check that out. That's the Cashin Element, and as you said, you got an amazing discount now if you're a Bashing member. So go check it out. That's and right. We are gonna we will not be live next week. We're going to be traveling home from the Classic, so we'll miss it. But we're going to be back in 2 weeks with a live show. But we have a nice feature for you next week. Yeah, we do. What are we putting out? Do we want to tease it? I don't even know 100% what it is. It's going to be we're going to let out a little seminar. Yeah, we're going to be taking it to the bank, letting out some of Yep.
stuff on Bass University. So go check that out. We'll be airing that live in this time slot. So if you haven't got a chance to see that, now is a great opportunity. I know probably most of our subscribers are bank anglers, and most of the anglers on the planet are bank anglers. And Ike does an amazing job of fishing from the bank and teaching how to do that. So go check that out next week, and we will see you guys in 2 weeks with another episode of Bass University Live, and hopefully we'll see you at the Classic. Hope you have a great day, everybody.